What's up, spectators? Welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Dual Destinies. We have just proven in the trial that the bomb case was over where Apollo would have written Miss Woods' name in blood. So here we go. I'm sure the court has noted an interesting fact about this position. The transport case covers up the writing in blood. Exactly. If the transport case was in that position at the time of the assault, then no message could have been written there because the case was in the way. Which leads us to conclude that Mr. Justice couldn't have left that bloody writing. Objection! Why should we believe the defendant's claim that the case was in a different position? She's obviously lying. Objection! The fact that the case was moved after the assault on Mr. Justice is proved by more than Mrs. Wood's testimony alone. What? And where is this proof you're talking about? It's right here in the crime photo. I'm keen to see this proof myself, Mr. Wright. What in the photo indicates that the transport case was moved after the assault? Right there! Skid marks, baby. Please take a look at the mark that runs over Mr. Justice's bandages here. I see, but what is it? This mark was made by one of the casters from the transport case carrying the bomb. As the case was moved, it ran over his bandages. In other words, the transport case was originally to the right of Mr. Justice. Then after Mr. Justice was assaulted, the transport case was moved. What? Just as Miss Wood said, the case was covering the writing at the time of the assault. Therefore, it was impossible for Mr. Justice to have left that message in blood. No! More rabbling and rousing. Oh, you can actually see his toupee up. You did it, boss! It was a real nail biter, but you pulled it off. Yup. That should bring down the prosecution's claim like a house of cards. Order in the court, Mr. Wright. That was a very clever deduction. Not really. Oh, it was nothing, Your Honor. Nothing but pure genius. Take that. Boss, I'm sensing a definite smug and braggy vibe coming off of you. Why don't you calm your tits? I have just one question, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. If Mr. Justice didn't leave this message in blood, then who did? What? Blah. Oh. Well. Looks like I should have taken that train of thought to the last station. Well, well. I've heard a lot about this. So this is Mr. Wright's famous bluffing technique, is it? Ah, this feeling. It brings back memories of the old days. Back when you carved out a name for yourself by bluffing your way through thick and thin. Gee, Mr. Wright, the judge kind of makes you sound no better than a 2-bit con man. You made your argument with such confidence, Mr. Wright. Now I'd like to hear your answer with just as much confidence. Hey, until the judge asked the question, you didn't catch on either, Buster. Buster Brown! What now, boss? I hope you didn't bluff your way into a corner. Think, Phoenix, think. There must be a way through this. I have to dig my way to the truth somehow. Who could have written that message in blood? It was someone else. If it wasn't Apollo, who could have left this bloody message? It's definitely not her. That'd be ridiculous. The only person it could have been, other than that crazy bomb man, was Candace Army, the victim in this case. Take that! To be honest, I don't actually have any real proof of this. But I've come this far, there's no turning back now. Besides Apollo, there is one more person who shed blood at this crime scene. A person who shed blood? You don't mean... Oh, but I do! I believe it was Candace Army, who left behind this message in blood. Bum bum. What? Bum bum. What? Detective Arm? Are you sure you know what you're doing here? Not really. Objection. Bum bum. What kind of ridiculous assertion is that? If you had said the attacker left the message to throw people off, it might have made sense. At first glance, that would seem to be the most reasonable explanation. However, Apollo didn't shed enough blood to write such an extensive message. Uh-oh. I see. Even the photo makes it clear there wasn't enough blood to write all those letters. And Mr. Justice did survive. I suppose he did bleed very extensively in that case. But why would Detective Arm write the defendant's name? Bum bum. There's no connection between the two whatsoever. Bum bum. Oh, damn it. And I didn't even know the lady who was killed. I admit the investigation didn't turn up any connection between the victim and the defendant. They had never even met each other. That's very true. Well, then let's see. Then maybe the intended meaning of the message is not what it appears to be. The intended meaning? Not what it appears to be? Maybe the message was not intended to be Woods. Coming from you, that's quite the bold statement, Mr. Wright. You wish to assert that this bloody writing could have some other meaning? Yes, Your Honor. For something I pulled out of a wormhole, it could be true, right?
Objection!
It clearly says Woods, as anyone can plainly see. What other meaning could it possibly have?
Objection!
But Candace Arm was a detective. Maybe Woods only means something to the police. Like a police scanner code, for example. Bum bum. I didn't think of that. You may have tricked His Honor, but you'll never get the best of me. I have a thing for studying on the weekends, as you may have already guessed. And there's no such radio code as Woods in this state, dear Mr. Wright. Is that a fact? Don't look at me, I know as much as you do about police codes. Enough of this. I was quite taken with the defense's new theory. But if they can't substantiate it with anything, then I must end things here. No, please wait, Your Honor. Very well, but before we discuss this theory any further, I demand a plausible explanation. So, Mr. Wright, what is the true meaning of the bloody writing? Well, I believe it's... And no stalling! If you can't come up with an answer quickly, I will declare this discussion officially over. I'm in trouble now. What other meaning could it have besides the obvious one? Maybe it means something in another language, or maybe it's a code. Think, Phoenix, you can do this. Which piece of evidence will tell us what Woods really means? Interesting. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Now I want to examine this thing really quickly. Is it details? A? I mean, L10015R. Would that mean anything? Maybe? No, definitely not. No, that's not gonna do it. Nope, the switch isn't even around. No one knows where it is. The tail, definitely not. HH3000, potentially, but I don't think so. The best thing we have to go on is the bomb transport case.
Take that!
The bomb transport case? Huh, looks like I was right. I've about had it up to here with your shenanigans, Mr. Wright. Or maybe I don't have it? Take a look at the numbers on this case, Your Honor. L10015R. Doesn't the string look vaguely familiar? L100. What does that have to do with anything? What could those numbers possibly have to do with the case at hand? Now, please take a look at the bloody writing showed in the crime photo. Oh, I think I see it. That a girl. That's what on my side. It says Woods. Or you could say it's a horse of a different color, Your Honor. The first character isn't a W, it's actually an L and a 1. The next two are zeros. Oh my goodness gracious! The true meaning behind the bloody writing isn't Mrs. Wood's name. It's the number engraved on this bomb transport case.
Objection!
What are you talking about? The next part doesn't make any sense. The next number is a 1, but the bloody writing says D.
Objection!
But the number on the case and the bloody writing can be made to match up quite easily. This is how the number on the transport case can be made to match the bloody writing. No, that's definitely not it. Wait, oh shoot. I'm gonna have to toss a coin, because unless I actually look at it, I don't really know. Please erase the third downward stroke of the W and the curved part of the D. Boom! L10015. Well, would you look at that? Lewis. No, Your Honor, you big dope of a judge. It is meant to be read as a word. It's the number L10015. Which, if you take away the final R, is the exact same number that's on the bomb transport case. Erase 2 lines and they match up, you say. Well, I can change anything into anything else simply by erasing 2 lines. What if we erase 2 lines from your name? Would you be happy as Mr. Rye? Well, would you, Mr. Rye? The only right spelling is right. Okay, I'm doing pretty well here, and I think I've drawn the right conclusion. Detective Arm's real message to us is the bomb transport case number. Your Honor, the 2 lines were added by the real culprit to intentionally mislead people. What? The original message Detective Arm left behind was the transport case number, but whoever assaulted Apollo changed the message. If you're right, boss, then what do you suppose Detective Arm was trying to tell us? Good question. What does this number represent? Obviously, it's the guy's number. Do you see this number here? That is my identification number. Candace Arm lost her life in the courtroom bombing. Her dying message could only have one purpose. No. To tell us the name of the one responsible for the bombing. Well, don't keep us in suspense, Mr. Wright. Tell us who she was trying to name. The culprit that the victim was trying to identify is none other than Juniper Woods! Gasp in pain! But no, really, Ted Tonate.
Take that!
The defense wishes to indict Mr. Ted Tonate to the charge of the courtroom building. Ted Tonate? Apparently disabling bombs isn't Mr. Tonate's special ability, or specialty. Somehow the victim must have realized that he was the bomber. So when she was caught in the blast, she left this bomb transport case numbers as her dying message. She used Mr. Tonate's own ID number to finger him for the crime.
Objection!
Why would anyone go out of their way to write an ID number? Wouldn't they simply write the person's name? He's got a good point there. What do you have to say to that, Mr. Wright? That only Detective Arm would have known the answer to that, but allow me to offer a theory. Perhaps Detective Arm couldn't recall Mr. Tonate's name in the heat of the moment. As I recall, this was the first meeting between the two. It's entirely possible that they would have been familiar with each other. Or maybe using the ID number was a way to find, or to hide its true meaning of the real culprit. Let me just drink some water real quick. Ooh. Whoop! Okay. Thus lowering the odds that they would erase the bloody writing. But no matter what the reason, the important thing is the meaning behind her message. The fact remains, she wrote Mr. Tonate's ID number.
Objection!
Now, just one moment here. There hasn't been any proof yet that it was indeed Detective Arm who wrote it. The bloody writing wasn't found during the investigation after the blast. If Detective Arm had left the message, it should have been found at that time.
Objection!
Naturally, Mr. Tonate did it before anyone could discover it. And there's a simple explanation for how he was able to do so. Mr. Tonate was able to cover the message up because he's... Definitely not that one. He was the first to find the body, right? Let me think. Oh, yeah. Cause yeah, that's right. The first person to discover the bloody writing was Mr. Tonate himself. I was the first one on the scene after the explosion. I went there to ensure safety, but I ended up discovering a dead body. When Mr. Tonate saw that the victim had written his ID number, he used the bomb transport case to cover up the bloody writing as a stopgap measure. Oh, so that's why the message in blood was under the transport case. He didn't have enough time to try and scrub away the writing. If he didn't report the body right away, he would look suspicious. So those letters lived on to serve another function. When Mr. Tonate used them in another incident. Oh, the assault on Mr. Justice. Exactly. Mr. Tonate hit upon a plan to use the bloody writing for his own purposes. So he didn't clean it away. Instead, he made it to look like Mr. Justice wrote it. By adding 2 lines to the writing that Detective Arm left behind. He changed the meaning of the message. He made it look like Mr. Justice was accusing Miss Woods of the attack. So that means the only person who could have altered the bloody writing was the courtroom bomber, who was the same person that assaulted Mr. Justice. And that person is Ted Tonate. Grrr, moo! Arriba! Order, I say. It looks like we'll have to hear from the bomb specialist himself. Mr. Payne, please have Mr. Tonate take the witness stand. Yes, Your Honor. That was great, Mr. Wright. Just doing what I do best, which is flying by the seat of my pants. Dismantling the case is yours. Do you think you can handle it? I look forward to seeing you try. What a smug bastard. I finally drawed Mr. Tonate back onto the witness stand. Looks like you'll get your wish, Goggle Man. Now watch me take your lies apart. What a terrible thing to call someone. Goggle Man? That's not creative at all. Phoenix Wright. He's like, what, 34 now? He has not learned in the past decade. And he was so much more suave in the Apollo game when he's wearing that silly hat. In that sweater. Mr. Tonate, I'm afraid we have a few more questions for you. I understand the situation, Your Honor. I was keeping close eye on the proceedings from the gallery. Let me just sip some coffee this time. 1 second. Ugh. The allegations are all laughable.
Objection!
I wouldn't be laughing if I were you, Mr. Tonate. The message in blood matches your ID number. Ha ha! The same ID number that is there on that bomb transport case. Such a far-fetched theory, no better than a tangled ball of wires. I have them untangled for you in no time at all. You were the first person on the scene after Detective Arm left her message in blood. You were the only one who could have hidden the writing and then used it again later. I see ×2. But then, let me ask you. Do you have any proof that Detective Arm wrote that message? That's a very good question. Will do, Mr. Wright. Well, that's easy. It's her blood. Yeah, it's the blood. Your Honor, I request that a DNA test be performed on the blood itself. Once we know whose it is, it will be obvious as to who wrote the message. That's what I thought, asshole. Very well. Bailiff, please put in a request for a DNA test with the forensics team. Where's Gumshoe? Bring back Gumshoe. It will be some time before we have the result of the analysis. Until then, let's hear more from the witness. I would like nothing more, Your Honor. I want the court to hear how ridiculous the defense's theory is. Seriously, where is everyone? Where's Edgeworth and Maya and Franziska von Karma? Goddard's probably in prison or dead. Let's see. I admit I was the first one on the scene after the explosion. But there was no bloody writing there at the time. Anyway, there's no way Detective Arm could have written it. She struck her head on rubble and died near the courtroom entrance. She was too far away from where the bloody message was found. Interesting. So you're saying that the victim's body was nowhere near the writing was? Precisely. It is as plain as day that she could not have written it. It's true that the body was discovered near the entrance to the courtroom. Please have a look at this crime scene photo. Ooh, bloody. There's blood on the rubble near the victim's body. She must have died after hitting her head there. Courtroom body bombing photo added to the court record. Crime scene photo of the aftermath. Number 4 bombing, and the victim. I see. All right then, Mr. Wright. You may cross-examine the witness. Do you have what it takes to take my infallible testimony apart? Well, it's been 20 minutes, so I'm gonna end this video here. So stay tuned next Monday for the next episode, and thanks for watching. Bye!
They're catching us in a crossfire, shouted Billy. Get to the other side.
Faster! Faster! Oh!